Hello, everybody. It is Professor Parish, and welcome to English 123, which is creative writing. How exciting, right? So this video is basically to introduce the class and talk about the way the class is structured, the syllabus, the first week's assignments, basically how everything is organized. So I'm going to be doing a lecture video each week for the class, so make sure that you watch it so that you can get what all we're doing for the week and any notes that I have, things like that. I'll try not to make the lecture videos too long, but this first video may be a little bit longer than usual because we have lots to go through. So I wanted to start out on our dashboard. If you look on here, you'll see that there's different courses that you can click on. And so our course is going to be this one with the Hey Arnold gif on there because I'm a 90s kid and I like Hey Arnold. So have to do that. And plus it was really good for creative writing. So if we go ahead and click on it, I'm going to transfer to student view. So for a while, y'all can see the way that I view the class. But so here's how the class is set up. And so the main page here is going to be the most important page. It is going to have our instructor information that we're going to go over. We're going to check out the syllabus over here. But you'll notice as you scroll down that each week you have a module guide, which I would definitely read first. That's why it's listed first. It'll tell you about the assignments for the week. And then there will be a due date on the assignment, and then you'll be able to see the assignments themselves. Now, I try to open up a week ahead of time so that you can work ahead if you want to. I don't usually post the lecture videos until that weekend before the class opens. So Module 2 lecture video, it probably won't be available till around Saturday, but I may get it up early this week. But you'll notice that these other modules are locked, and they'll unlock at a certain date. Like I said, I try to unlock them a week ahead of time. If you know you're going to be out of town or on a tournament or something, or if it's getting closer to finals week and you want me to open up things early, I can pretty much open up any week early except finals week. All right. So let's go ahead and click on the instructor page, and it'll kind of give you just a little bit of information about myself. It'll also show you the 2 textbooks for our class, which are these 2. They're listed here. The Best of American Poetry and the American Short Stories. They're available for free book rental at the bookstore if you want to go to the bookstore and get them. They're free book rentals for that. So exciting times. And then I'll have the link to this lecture video right here as well. So this is a creative writing class. Fun times. I loved taking creative writing classes when I was in college. It's just a great chance for us to express ourselves, to be creative, but also to kind of improve on our craft. So to improve ourselves as writers. And there's lots of different exercises, things that we can do that I'm going to be talking about week to week. But the main thing with these books is that the blue book has different fiction examples and the red book has different poetry examples. So it's kind of like the Matrix. We got red pill, blue pill, right? And so we're going to be drawing in some of our assignments from these sources. We're going to be picking out stories from each of these sources to use for our assignments, because part of being a good writer is not only writing a lot, but it's also reading a lot and getting exposed to different genres. So that's pretty exciting. Now, as far as getting a hold of me as your instructor, email is the best. And you can see my email is right here. So it's just my name last name @sic.edu. I got my office hours on here. I work as a high school recruiter and the dual credit coordinator on campus. So I'm usually in my office Monday to Friday from 8 to 4:30. However, I do travel a lot to different high schools. So throughout the day, I may not be in my office. So if you need to schedule an appointment with me, that's fine. Just email me and we'll set it up. You can also call my extension, but like I said, if I'm away, I may not be able to answer a question directly, or I may be in a high school that doesn't have good signal. So email is the best way to get a hold of me. But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this class. So we have Module 1 and we have Module 2. We won't go over Module 2 in this video. We'll save that for next week. But before we get to Module 1, I want to go over our syllabus. So you'll see on the sidelines here, if you just go through this homepage, you can pretty much access any module and any assignment. So you don't have to go through these 2 pages. They just kind of differentiate them. And then our grades, if you click on the grades page, it's going to show you the grades in this class and how many points everything is worth, right? And right now, since the class is open, there's no grades entailed. If you click on the people section, you'll see all the students in our class. There's a group of us. You'll see my email on there, and you'll be able to click on that person's name and you can type out an email, and it'll tell you the teacher on the side so you'll know that I'm the instructor. All right. So let's go to the syllabus and check it out, because that's what y'all are here for, right? Let me go back here. Before I get on the syllabus, I do like that this page right here, it organizes all of our assignments in order. So if you need to write down due dates, it's all right here, which is really handy. I really like that. And you'll notice every assignment up until finals week, every assignment is due on Sundays. So I try to make everything due at the end of the week, so you've got all week to work on it, and then at the end of the week, it's due. The exception is finals week, because our finals end on Thursday, May 12th. So you have to have everything turned in a little early that week. But let's click on the syllabus here. So the idea behind this class, and it's got my contact info there, the idea behind this class is that we're just doing the basic skills of writing fiction and poetry. It's just a creative writing class. It's going to be fun. We're going to be exploring different things with the genre. I'll probably bring in some different examples throughout the course in the semester, different techniques, things that you can do, just different things to kind of help you become a better writer and to have fun in this class, right? So the idea is obviously to demonstrate proficient use of the English language, and you all can read those general education goals there as well. As far as the textbook goes, it's just those two I mentioned. Basically, we're going to do a final project in this class, and then you are going to write 4 short papers, which 2 fiction, 2 poetry. And you can also do nonfiction too. If you don't want to write fiction, you can do a nonfiction narrative style format as well. Absolutely. I'm pretty flexible on what you want to do as long as it fits the brief. But as far as the schedule week to week goes, you can kind of examine it here. The way that I do this class is I definitely prefer quality over quantity. I don't want to give you a lot of fluff assignments. I may add on resources as we go each week, but as far as the assignments go, there's only going to be like 1 or 2 assignments per week. And I want you to focus really hard on those assignments, but it's not going to be a lot of fluff. It's mainly going to be allowing you to focus on your writing to make it the best it possibly can be. And you'll notice in week 9, that's the halfway point. That's spring break. So March 7th through, it should be the 14th. Shouldn't say the 20th. Ignore that. March 7th through the 14th is spring break, and that week we won't have any work due. All right. So you got your textbooks. As far as the grading scale goes, there's not a lot of points in this class. It's 1,000 points, which sounds like a lot, but when you break it down over 18 weeks, it's really not a lot. You've got 2 papers on short stories. They're each worth 100 points. You've got 2 different poem and analysis papers that are 100 points each. We only have 5 discussion forum posts. So a lot of this class is going to be reflection and writing at your own pace. We will do 5 discussion forum posts. There's topics and outlines for each of your papers. There's reading responses. Then there's a final creative writing project that's worth quite a bit of points. And when we get to like April, we'll talk about that. And then you have a final reflection in the class. So as long as you get 900 points in the class, you've got an A. Obviously, you need a D or higher for this class to count towards an elective in your graduation. But ideally, I'm hoping, my goal as a teacher is I tell students, you either get 1 of 2 grades in this class. You're either going to get an A, B, or C if you do the work, or if you don't do the work, you're going to fail. So it's really up to you what you want to do in this class, right? So as far as ADA accommodations, we don't really have, you'll notice, we don't really have any tests in this class. It's creative writing. So we don't have any exams or tests. It's mainly just your writing and your projects. So nothing is timed. You just have a week to do it. And you can work ahead if you want. We also utilize the retention and completion system through Starfish. So if you get an email, if you're doing poorly in the class, I may send out a Starfish notification to contact you and let you know what's up. And so the rest of this is all information for the college. One thing that's not listed on here that I do want to talk about is my attendance policy. And it's just kind of briefly listed here, but I am a stickler about one thing, and that is due dates. I do not like late work because it tends to snowball and it tends to form bad habits for us as academic students, that when we start to get stuff in late, it starts to snowball and get out of control. And I don't want to do that. So in any case, I don't accept late work in the course. So if you miss a deadline, just work on the next week's assignments. That's the only thing I can say. Now, honestly, if it's like a case-by-case thing where, you know, someone in your family is severely ill, or you've had a death in the family, or you're hospitalized, then we can deal with that on a case-by-case basis. But if you were just late and didn't do the work, I'm not going to grant you an extension. And you'll see that throughout the modules that there are specific due dates, and I hold those very dear. I don't really waver on due dates. All right, so let's go back to the modules. All right, so you'll notice each module has a guide, and we always look at that first. So I'm going to pull that up over here. So for the module for this week, you're going to watch the lecture video, which is this video, and I'm going to post a link to it here. We've looked at the syllabus. We're going to look at paper 1's guidelines. The assignment's not till module 2, but I want to go ahead and show you the guidelines. And then the assignment for this week is the discussion forum post. So you'll notice that there's the paper 1 guidelines. There's also the final project guidelines and the discussion forum. I went ahead and put the final project guidelines here so you can go ahead and see what that's going to look like. But we'll look at the paper 1. Let's go ahead and look at the final project guidelines, and then we'll do paper 1 and the discussion forum. So the final project is not due till the end of the semester, but I want you to go ahead and you can look at it and see exactly what I'm looking for. And that's really that it's going to be kind of a summation of all of this class as a whole into a final project. So when we get closer around April to the topic being due, I'll go over these guidelines in full and explain what I'm looking for. But if you want to check it out ahead of time, you can. But let's focus on paper 1. The assignment for paper 1 isn't going to be due. The topic and outline won't be due till week 2, but let's go ahead and look at the guidelines. So paper 1 is going to be about a short story. So it just needs to have the elements of prose, meaning it has to have a character, at least one character, has to have a setting, a basic plot, a concise, consistent point of view, symbolic elements, an overall theme, and a distinct and coherent style. It can be fiction or nonfiction, and it has to be at least 3 full pages. Can be more, but at least 3 full pages. Should be double-spaced, 12-point font. Don't use any hard to read or bold enlarged fonts. Don't use Arial bold. And in fact, don't use Arial, because a lot of people use Arial and I'm like, it says 12 point, but it's bigger than that. You all know what you're doing. I was a college student once. I know all the tricks of the trade. So just make sure it is a legible, actually 12-point font, if that makes sense. Should have 1-inch margins, which if you open up a Word document, it's a 1-inch margin anyway. Dialogue is optional. You don't have to have dialogue, but you can. And the stories should have an introduction and a conclusion. It should have a starting point and an ending point. Even if it's a cliffhanger, it should be a definitive cliffhanger, if that makes sense. And then how I grade it is your distinct intro and conclusion. SAE means Standard American English, grammar and mechanics. The page length and formatting is met. And then you use the elements of prose creatively, meaning that you put forth some effort and it's a fun story. Or if it's sad, it's a sad story. Or if it's funny, it's a funny story. Whatever you choose as far as the subgenre goes. But those are the guidelines for paper 1, right? So with that, I'll talk about the topic and outline assignment next week for module 2. But the only assignment this week is our discussion forum. And I'm probably going to have to switch back to instructor view to show you what that looks like. There we go. So all of our discussion forums basically are worth 20 points, and they're broken down like this. 10 points is for your own post, that it has proper grammar and spelling, and that it answers the questions adequately. That's your initial post. Then from there, we have your responses. Now you need to respond to at least 2 of your peers, and those responses are each worth 5 points each. Based on the content and grammar and spelling. Now, I don't do a word count. I find some instructors, they're like, oh, your posts have to be 500 words long. No, I don't like doing that, because what ends up happening is if I tell you to give me 500 words, you're going to give me 500 words. You're not going to embellish any more than that. So I would rather have you answer the questions concisely, specifically, and adequately than to give you a word count and you just try to fluff and fill it to make that word count. So in your discussion post for this first week, it's kind of like an icebreaker. I want to know the answers to these 3 questions. 1, do you prefer poetry or short stories? And explain your answer. Which do you like better? And there's no wrong answer to these questions. I'm just curious about your opinion. Question 2, who is your favorite poet and who is your favorite author and why? And if you're not familiar with many poets, you might do a little research on Google or something and say, famous poets, and see if any names stand out that you remember from high school or that you know from your own readings, things like that. You can also, in terms of poets, you can use singers and songwriters, because it's like, rap music, rap is rhythm and poetry. So you can use somebody like that if you want, if you can't think of any like literary poets. And then finally, what do you hope to take from this class and incorporate into your own writing for this semester and future semesters? What are you wanting to get out of this class? If you're just taking this for fun and as an elective, then that's fine. Just say that in your response. But if you actually are, or if you have specific goals, I'm curious to know what they are, because that may help me in finding additional resources. I want to try to tailor this class a little bit towards your own interests. So if there's something that you are hoping to get out of the class, like mechanic-wise or creative-wise, I want to know it so that I might be able to find you all some resources to share this semester that will be helpful for you as writers. So I'm going to try to tailor it to you all, because you guys are my course here. But yeah, that's pretty much the Module 1 assignments. Everything in the class, they're always due on Sundays. Just make sure that you have everything done by Sunday night. Like the discussion forum is due by January 16th, your post and your responses. Other than that, though, if you want to go ahead and look at Module 2, you can. I'm going to go over that module. I may have the video posted earlier this week rather than later so you guys can see it ahead of time. But with that being said, I'm excited, y'all. I'm really excited to have you all in this class. If you have any questions, please let me know. Don't hesitate to ask. But I'm excited for creative writing, y'all. It's going to be a fun time. So while you get the books this week is mainly about the Icebreaker discussion forum, navigating Canvas and seeing the site and exploring it and making sure you can navigate it well. Make sure you get the 2 textbooks. They're in the bookstore. You can rent them for free. Make sure you do that this week. Our bookstore is open from 8 to 4 p.m. Make sure Monday through Friday you get your textbook this week, because we're going to use it a lot. So in that case, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back next week with Module 2 of English 123. Bye.